Yeah, basically, so okay, a topic we could discuss is like in the last few years, they've actually been experimenting more and more and more and more, especially with the LCS playoffs. If you look, they tend to like use LCS and LEC, they do different approaches on both, and they sort of like I'd say the A/B test, but I don't even know that Riot's actually that advanced. They just change them, make them slightly different, and see what's what, right? And basically, one of the changes they made in LCS from last year, which I have to say I'm not a huge fan of, it reminds me of when the LCS began and you were back as a pro player, Crumbs. Remember when the first NALCS was 8 teams and the top 6 made the playoffs? Hence why, as you referenced on the last episode, there was that bizarre scenario where if you make the playoffs but you lose the first game, you can get relegated from the league, which sounds so bizarre. On the one hand, you're 6th, so you're not that good, but you're in the playoffs and can win the league. And if you lose the first match, you can potentially be in relegation to be eliminated from the league. Well, they've almost made it as ridiculous. Like, obviously, there's no relegation anymore because it's franchising. But now, in the 10-team LCS, 8 teams make the playoffs, and obviously they kind of do it like TI style, where if you make it from the last spots, you just make the worst possible one where you go in the lower bracket instead of starting in the upper bracket with the other teams. It's a bit like if people know the classic TI format for the playoffs of that tournament. So the issue here obviously is it's very rare that teams 7 and 8 are actually good and are actually going to do anything in the playoffs, right? So what do you think, even as a format concept here, right, Crumbs? Where are you coming down on this?
I mean, the first thing that just pains me is to see that one of the teams can make playoffs with a record that's like, what, 14 and 34? Or it's 14 and, yeah, like Golden Guardians right now is 12 and 30. They could make it at 15 and 30. That is ridiculous to me. That this is something that I think is rewarded. And so from a purely competitive standpoint, to me, this does not make sense. Now, from the standpoint of...
By the way, for context, I believe there was famously a split, I think it was in Season 8, where Optic didn't make the playoffs, even though they had an 8-8 record, a 50% win rate. Whereas, as you're saying, like, in this scenario, you could have like a 33% win rate and make the playoffs.
Yeah. And then I think from a standpoint of increasing viewership, this makes a lot of sense because best ofs, I think, definitely get people more interested. And then playoffs, just the fact that it's labeled playoffs, I think gets people more interested in it. And then if you're a bottom team, this gives you some leeway into not having to play so well, and you still get that extra viewership that goes so well because it couples into the narratives that get deployed during a playoff series. So I think it makes sense for viewership wise, but I don't think this is a sustainable thing because then once you're used to this format, next season rolls around and you don't give a shit about regular season. You'll just wait for playoffs because you know that 8 out of 10 will make it. And you know that because the win rates are so low of the bottom teams, the ones that don't make it must be so much worse at that point because their win rates are abysmal. You're like, I don't even care if I don't watch them. I know they're not going to make it to playoffs. So I think that this is a fine experiment to say that we did it and that we know how 8 out of 10 making it into playoffs works out. But I don't think this is a good idea in the future just because it's going to get redundant real quick and it's going to eventually suck the value out of the regular season in favor of a playoff series. And the stance is, oh, but it'll be cool, right? If the bottom team makes a miracle run, right? You want to see the miracle run. Maybe Dignitas makes a miracle run, but that's the whole point of regular season. You don't get to make a miracle run because you sucked most of the year, right? If you just allow everybody to compete, then sure, put in a. Why don't we allow every year an amateur team to participate from academy? See if they make a miracle run in the LCS. Wouldn't that be hype? That'd be a very hype narrative storyline if we just let number 1 of academy into the LCS playoffs and see how they do. Hey, worst case scenario, they fail. Everyone expected it. Best case scenario, they make a miracle run. I don't like that argument.
What do you think, Oddball?
I mean, just like, obviously from a viewership perspective, it would be exciting to see a team like Golden Guardians be able to, they made like an incredible upset. But for the most part, it's going to just be depressing again. You're just going to have a top team 3-0 them. All the players are going to look sad. And then you wrap up to the next broadcast. So for the most part, I would say that it's just a waste of time and overall just like devalues the competition of the league.
Yeah, that my problem is like I also think the knock-on effects specifically for the LCS and the NA region could be really bad. Like as you alluded to, Crumbs, this is also part of why some of the teams, yes, including the format where it carries over from spring, so the teams that already were top 3, for example, know you'd have to really, really do the season wrong to not make playoffs, for example. So they already know they're in with a shout to get their Worlds qualification. They just have to basically get this shit together in the last 2 weeks. I think that's terrible for the competition of the league because what it implies is you can take games off. You can, by the way, I don't think this is a coincidence, bench a whole bunch of star players and know that as long as I've resolved it within about 3 or 4 weeks, you know, this is fine. I can get the train back on the track. That wouldn't be the case because in the era I was describing when they had relegation, Crumbs, that's the whole reason back then why people were scared to try rookie talent because you needed to win every single game because you never know at the end of the split. Like what, for all you know, the team below you, they get their shit together and they do a little playoff run and all of a sudden you're in the relegation spot. It's like, fuck. So you mean that one game that I lost in week 3, that was a 50-50 Baron, maybe I shouldn't have lost it. Like that back then you couldn't do that. So unfortunately, even though within most of these formats, they tend to build in reasons why like a sane person would still try. Like, for example, yeah, you want to be a top 4 team, so you get the upper bracket, right? There's one great reason to keep trying for a spot. Even technically, you don't just want to be any top 4 team. You don't want to be number 4 because then you play number 1. Number 1 in theory should be the best. The problem is this. If everyone fucks around, and number 1 in the league fucks around, and number 2 in the league fucks around, number 3 in the league fucks around, they all think we just need to be top 4. You now can all fuck around. You've sort of made an arms race where you agree not to go that hard, everyone. So I think, unfortunately, it can backfire and it might actually like tank some of the quality of like the weekly aspect of LCS. Because what you're basically saying is this regular split doesn't matter unless you're the worst 2 teams. Otherwise, just enjoy the playoffs. And I even think, quite frankly, as much as people will say that angle oddball of like, oh, but imagine if like the worst team made a run. I think that would be the worst thing that could ever happen to the competition of the league. Like, imagine being a top team that as a fluke lost a one-off game like this against some nobody squad. Like, what message do you take from that? Like, you already won one of the best teams. Like, what are you supposed to do differently? Nothing. Like, you just have to hope you don't get unlucky, basically. And also, like, it's just so rare that it would happen in League of Legends, I'm afraid. Like, I don't think people realise, if you're so bad, like some of the teams here are, who are in, like, 3rd from bottom, you're not winning best of 5s against anyone. Like, a best of 5 is the last thing you can even be thinking about. Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.